What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for Power Book 2 Ghost Season 3, Episode 7. This episode was titled Deal or No Deal. Alright, you guys, so before we get into this episode, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed yet, do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know you can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning your post notifications on, and sharing the video. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's discuss Power Book 2 Ghost, shall we? Alright, you guys, so we're going to start up like we've been doing for the last few weeks. We're going to talk about the prosecutors, and then we'll talk about Tariq and the others, and then we will wrap up with the Tejada family, right? So this episode, we see Davis and Saxe. So Davis and Saxe are getting ready to go visit Theo, right? So they weren't able to get the commutation for Theo, but what they did do with the help of Tate was able to get him an expedited parole hearing, right? So we see Davis and Saxe, right? So they went in to go talk to Theo. So basically, this is supposed to be a run through of when he sits down in front of the parole board. So they asked him some questions, and his answers were terrible. I'm like, if y'all actually put this man before the parole board, I don't think that they would find that because the whole situation about being in prison is rehabilitate them, right? And I don't think that anybody on the parole board would actually think that he's been rehabilitated. So that happened. Also, Davis brought up this investigation into Lauren's murder, right? And, Saxe is like, there is no investigation. The police believe that she died, in that car crash, right? So Davis was like, but Tariq feels like otherwise. And so Saxe is like, well, Tariq is just paranoid. And Davis was like, well, wouldn't you be too? I was like, exactly. So next up, we see Saxe. So Saxe was talking to Jenny. So Saxe is asking for Jenny's help to switch out someone on the parole panel with someone that is easy to be bribed, right? And he also told her the fact that, if you do this, this can help me get closer to Davis. And he also told her about the file that Davis has of Whitman's, right? So she said, what file is? He says, I don't know what it is, but he's asking for her help. So she was reluctant to help him with this, but she eventually came on board. So Saxe told her, if you fuck me over in any way, I will burn you. So he also asked her, so anybody in the DA's office, do you think that they could have tipped Tariq off to this investigation with Lauren? And she says, no, nobody. He says, well, do you think Lauren could have did this? She said, hell no, absolutely not. I was like, are you so sure about that, Miss Lady? Like, you do remember that Saxe told Lauren you couldn't hold her. You do remember that Lauren left and went to her parents' home. You do remember you asked Lauren, where else did she go? She said she didn't go anywhere. You really believe that Lauren did not meet up with Tariq. If you do believe that, you're dumber than you look. So, Jenny and Blanca, oh my God. I just wish, when it comes to Blanca, I just cannot stand looking at that woman. It's that voice that just annoys me, Tariq, and this son of a bitch Socks, and, Rashawn Tate. Oh, God. So, we see Tate. Tate is on the television, and, they know that Tate is lying about what he's talking about. So, we'll talk about it right now, but I'll give you guys backstory of how this happened. So, Tate is on television. He's taking credit for a bust with the Russians, right? And, Blanca is like, he's lying, and because Jenny was like, do y'all think he really got somebody from the NYPD to help him? No, he did not. That is, I don't know how he did this, but, we got to figure it out. So, they had the drugs from the Russians, the Jamaicans, Avenues boys, and the university, right? Those drugs are not a match for each other. So Blanca knows that Tariq and Tate, they basically work together, they put their heads together and work together. So they're wondering if Tariq is the one who gave Tate this information on the Russians, right? So Blanca says, I bet that because they were thinking that with the Russians not having drugs and Tariq and the Tejadas not having drugs, that they're at a stalemate. And Blanca was like, if I know Tariq, then I would bet that he and Braden are moving weight at Westing Holdings. And, Jenny was like, but we've been looking at Westing Holdings and there's been nothing coming in or out, right? Well, it's worth a follow up. I was like, oh my God, will y'all please put this bitch out of her midst? I'm so sick of that woman. I'm tired of her, right? So we see Saxe and he's talking to he's talking to Davis, right? About the person that's on the parole panel that is easy to be bribed. And Davis was like, I'm all about, a bribery or whatever, but he was like, I'm all about that, right? But in this particular situation, not so much. So Saxe was like, okay, well, you give me the money, I'll go bribe him, right? So that's exactly what we see. Saxe went and bribed this person, right? So we see Theo as he's finally got out of jail. Theo didn't look too happy, right? I was like, ooh, Theo looking like he probably about to, unlive himself a little bit, right? No, he wasn't going to do that. But basically, he knew that Davis did something illegal to basically get him out because he was like, those answers that I said to the parole board, they should have kept my ass in that prison, right? So he said, take me to the facility and that be it. Like, don't come around no more, basically. So we see as Jenny and the team, they are basically celebrating because they have all they need for this RICO case. And like I said, you guys, I'll explain that in a little bit. But they have all that they need for this RICO case. And the rest is just up to Lauren, because she showed them a picture of Effie as Effie was on the roof. And she also told them that, that Lauren is still alive. And Blanca was like, you slick son of a bitch. I was like, you bitch, just go away, please, and thank you. Like, that woman irks my nerves and spirit. She makes my ass itch. Oh, Jesus, she makes my ass hurt and itch and sting. She makes it do everything in this world. But let's pause here and move forward, you guys. All right, you guys, so let's talk about Tariq real quick. So Tariq, he was on the phone with Lauren at one point, and he's telling Lauren that he needs to know basically what the feds have on him, and that way he can help get them out of this, shit that they're in. So she was like, why would I do that? And I'm like, girl, you're in the witness protection. She was like, well, why don't you just cooperate with them? He was like, even if we do cooperate, we won't be able to go back to our normal lives. We will be in WITSAC. We won't be able to see our families. So the only way out is to, basically fuck with the prosecution. And I'm like, I'm all here for that. Because, you guys know how I feel about Blanca. So we see Braden. So Braden and Kiki, they still going hot and heavy. Now, when they were having sex, I'm like, girl, it's giving very much you're faking that orgasm. So Braden is still upset because at this point, him and Tariq are not back to where they they're not back to their, typical Braden and Tariq selves. And if you guys hear any loud noises in the background, my apartment, I'm sitting in the living room and my apartment faces our pool area. So there are people outside at the pool and they are very loud. So if you guys hear that noise, I apologize in advance, right? So Kiki told Braden, like, friends come and go. And Braden was like, Tariq is a lot more than just a friend to me. Tariq is my brother. So basically, whatever her name is, Miss Kiki, right? Miss Kiki let Braden know that she knows that he and Tariq are moving drugs at Weston Holdings, right? Braden tried to play it off, but he was like, she's like, Braden, I know it's, it's with the whatever that counter whatever that shit was, right? The coin system with the coffee. She knows everything, and I'm like, oh, okay, so you do know everything. So then she was trying to make it like, well, if you're the brains of the operation, why are you sitting over here crying over Tariq? I was like, look at her, little girl. You might want to sit your little ass down and shut the fuck up, right? So Tariq, he met up with Tate, right? And Tate was like, little nigga, were you being followed? Like, I can't be seen with your shady ass. And I'm like, Tate, you the last person to call anybody shady, sir. You're just as shady as Tariq is, right? So Tariq says he got something that can help him, right? So he tells him about the next Russian drop. So this is how Tate was talking. You know, I told you guys a few minutes ago when I was talking about Blanc and them watching a news report and they were so pissed off. Well, Tariq found out when the Russians were getting their drop. He told Tate, like, you take this information because you're down in the polls. This can actually boost you in the polls if you give this to your friends over at the NYPD Blue and you take credit for it. And you all good, right? So Rashad is on board, right? So then as Tariq left, he called Davis up, who told him that Sack said that there's no investigation into Lauren's death. And Tariq was like, either he's lying to you or he doesn't know. And Tariq is right. So then we see Tariq. So Tariq went to go see Effie. So he asked Effie for the picture of Noma and her daughter. And she says, okay, but if I give you the picture, you got to let me back in the business. And he was like, fuck no. Like, I don't trust you. And she was like, and I don't trust you to not, say that you got it from me. I was like, well, y'all both technically got it, right? Technically, she did find it. So they went off on each other. I'm like, let's keep it real here, you guys. Let's talk about Effie. Because Effie, you've been a snake since we met you at Choate. Like, Effie has been a snake this entire time. That's why I didn't understand why when she showed up here at Stansfield in this area, why Tariq trusted Effie. Effie has done so much grimy shit to Tariq, and he still ended up fucking with it. And Tariq even said it. I don't even know why I fucked with you. I'm like, I don't either, Tariq. Effie has never had your best interest at heart. Even though she was trying to say that, she took out Lauren because of, he wasn't going to do it, right? Which we all know he wasn't going to do it. So we see Braden. So Braden is at Weston, right? And he's having some issues with their stuff. So he heard somebody and a guy came out of a room. So Braden followed that. And then he found a secret room where they were, shredding stuff. I was like, okay. So Braden found this book. And I was like, what is going on here? So moving back over to Effie, this is where, the feds got this picture of Effie on the roof. So Effie went up to the roof to go to the stash where they keep the drugs at, right? As she got up there, she noticed the camera right up there. She was like, fuck this, gotta go. I was like, girl, you a little bit too late for that one, because if they got the camera, that camera's on, they done got your little ass, right? So she texts Kane talking about, there's a camera on the roof and we need to meet up. Meanwhile, the Russian stuff was getting picked up by the feds, and we saw Rashad on TV taking credit for it, which is once again plays into Blanca them being upset about it, right? So we see Effie and Kane, they met up. So he gave her a bag, and she was like, wait a minute, what the fuck is this? He was like, that's all I can get, because right now all Monet wants to do is have the drugs up there at Stansfield, at the universities and at Wall Street, but that's all I can really get for you right now. And so Effie was like, I have to pay my tuition, Kane. And he was like, well, how much is it? So Kane took out a wad of money to give it to Effie. She's like, Kane, I don't want your handout. I'm like, girl, shit. As my grandmother used to say, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Bitch, give me that money. Call me whatever you want to call me. Call me a hoe. Call me a bitch. Call me, nah, don't call me. Well, now you can call me whatever you want to call me, because my tuition will be paid, right? So after that, we move over to the class. And so in this episode, you guys, I can't even tell you guys what the fuck was going on in this exercise with the class, because I didn't understand it. Because normally they'll introduce it, and it's introduce it, but when we saw the professor teaching, she was already talking about this, talking about it. I did notice that she had like Mark Zuckerberg in the back, in some pictures, and I believe I don't forget who else was there, but I really couldn't tell you what the hell they were talking about in this particular case this week. I do know, however, that everybody basically had an issue with each other. Salim had an issue with Diana, and whatever her name is, Effie had an issue with Tariq. I was like, ooh, y'all is mad at each other, right? So we moved back over to Western Holdings. So Tariq went up to Braden like, you still here late? You usually leave early, right? And he was like, he's doing something for his uncle. So he's still looking at these books, right? So at one point he went to go see Kiki, and he told Kiki what he thinks that the company is basically. He feels like the company is a Ponzi scheme, and he's gonna go talk to his uncle Lucas, right? Now, Tariq walked outside of the office, and there was that FBI agent that is with Blanca and with Jenny. He's pretending to be a homeless man, right? Going through the trash. Now he found one of those coffee cups, and he took the part where they keep the drugs at out, and he took the wrapper of the drugs. I was like, why would you? Common sense. Well, why would somebody put it back in there? I'm sorry. Why would you put it back in there? Why wouldn't you? I don't know. I don't know. Why would you? Never mind. I was thinking about that. Why would the person put it back in there? That ain't the brightest thing in the world to do. Because if they were to come to a drug bust, and you still had that coffee cup, and they flipped it and said, oh, you got the drugs, you going your ass to jail. I'm finna get rid of this shit. I'm gonna throw this whole down the toilet. I'm gonna do something with it. I'm not gonna put it right back where it came from. Wasn't smart of whoever did that, right? So Effie, we see Effie, and she's talking to the registrar, right, about her tuition, and the woman pulls up her account, and she was like, "Your tuition is paid in full." And so Effie told Kane, text Kane and said, "Fuck you. I told you I didn't want your handout." And he said, "You're welcome." And she smiled. I was like, ooh, pretty soon Kane finna get that ass. Kane is working overtime to get Effie. So we see Tariq, so he's talking to Lauren, and he's trying to get Lauren to, trust him. And she still is very apprehensive of doing so, right? So she told him that, the feds are basically moving forward with this, right? He says, well, I have proof, and I need to meet with you before you, sit down with them, right? So back to over to Braden, right? So he went to go to talk to Uncle Lucas, and basically Uncle Lucas confirmed that yes, this is a Ponzi scheme. So he said, does my dad know? He says no, his dad does not know. So he said, who else did you show this to? He said nobody. He called in Kiki. Kiki, bring your black ass in here, right? So Kiki brought her black ass in there, and she was like, is this about what you showed me? And so come to find out, Kiki as well as Uncle Lucas knew about this Ponzi scheme. They also know about the drug business between Tariq and Braden. And they basically threatened the shit out of Braden, like, you say anything and that's your ass. I was like, ooh, so this whole family is crooked and corrupt. Okay. So moving over to Tariq. So Tariq went to go where Lauren is going to be at, right? And he saw the DEA agent, and he was like, how much for that badge and that hat? So he took the badge and the hat, and he went upstairs, right? So he met up with Lauren, and he played the recording for Lauren when he and Effie got into it, where basically she admitted that he didn't have anything to do with it. It was all her. So Lauren is like, well, the FBI, they're coming up with a RICO case on you, right? And she told him that, he was like, and Sachs knew nothing about this. She was like, Sachs knew everything about this. Sachs was working with them. And he was like, I need your help, Lauren. So Lauren says, she's going to try to buy a little time for Tariq. I'm like, girl, I don't know how much time that's going to buy. Because, at this point, they have everything that they need. Like, this is an airtight case for them. Like, I don't even know how, as good as Davis is, I don't know how Davis can get them out of this, because they have photo evidence, and you can doctor and stuff, but I don't know about that, right? Ooh, we will see. As time comes on, we will see, you guys, but that's really all that I had for Tariq them. Let's pause here and wrap up the episode with the Tejada family. All right, you guys, so the episode opened up with the Russians taking out the Jamaica Avenue boys, right? So Monet, we see her And she's talking to Gordo, telling Gordo that you need to back off of Drew. I was like, well, ain't that about a bitch? Like, Monet is the rudest, meanest bitch I ever saw. I thought Raquel was a horrible mother. This bitch takes the cake. So he says you worried about he said the only thing you worried about is yourself. And I'm like, that's all Monet is. Monet has self-preservation and it's all about Monet is all about self. She don't really give a fuck about her kids. Let's just keep it a buck. Monet don't give a fuck about them kids. Monet don't give a fuck about Drew. She don't give a fuck about Kane. And she damn sure don't give a fuck about Diana, right? And I feel like when those kids find, because they are eventually, she is trying to cover her tracks, right? But she's not doing a good enough job. Like, she gonna slip up. She's gonna slip up because we'll talk about it. She gonna slip up. Well, never mind. We'll talk about it when we get there, right? We'll talk about it when we get there. But like I said, she wants for Gordo to leave Drew alone. He says no. Because he said, he's like, you don't know, you worried about this because all this shit that's going down with the Russians, right? She says it's on you and you need to walk away. I'm like, excuse me, lady. This is on you. Instead of you taking Lorenzo out your damn self, you went and lied to Evelyn. Evelyn wanted no parts of taking out Lorenzo. So then you went and told Gordo that Lorenzo killed his daddy. You know what though? I got so many questions. Monet is gonna fuck up at some point. Monet is gonna. Oh. And when it comes down to it, the person that I think that's gonna take Monet out, I don't think it's gonna be Kane. I don't think it's gonna be Drew. I think it's gonna be that mother and Diane, right? So, Gordo told Monet, "You want me to keep your secret? Like we keep each other's secrets, and I'ma still see Drew." I was like, "Well, that might have been your last words to her." So, she texts Kane and all of them about having a meeting, right? So we see them, and typical Monet. I guess they filled her in about this whole shit with Noma, right? I don't know how Kane puts up with Monet, because this woman forever disrespects him. She said she called him a dumbass for not keeping her in the loop. I'm like, lady, oh, a bullet would have her name on it. So she asked him for some ideas, and Kane was like, well, you can't look at Taylor Swift over there. And so she was like, okay, well, you got the right ideas. Give me something, right? So then she said something to Tariq, and Tariq was quite like, what's wrong with this guy? So Kane was like, because we took out his wire wearing bitch. And so she's like, y'all niggas can go and leave, and Tariq, you stay. And so Kane was leaving, and Brady was like, me? He said, yeah, you a nigga too. So, she was talking to Tariq, and actually, let me backtrack just a little bit, right? So she asked where was Drew at. So Kane told her that Drew and Gordo were out pulling the drugs off the streets, right? So they're still going to be doing everything on Wall Street and in universities. So she also felt like it was a good thing for them to take out Lauren if she in fact was wearing a wire. So Tariq was like, but now that they've done that, they're opening up an investigation into me and her death. And she said, well, you didn't do it, so you good. I'm like, girl, what the fuck are you talking about? So she said, Tariq, you my brains. I need something from you. So Tariq told her, well, let's figure out when the Russians' next shipment is and let's get it seized. We already talked about that, right? So we see Drew and Gordo. So they're down at his family's bar, right? And, they're trying to get everything taken care of because, they don't know if the Russians are going to come after them. And they're like, he shouldn't even be here. He should be with his family. And so Drew was like, okay, I'll go be with my family, but I need for y'all to figure out when the Russians' next shipment is, right? And so Gordo's brothers are like, with that deal we got, now we want 50-50 for what y'all done. I was like, well, you know what, Drew? I don't blame them, right? Because you did put them in this situation, right? You're the one that went rogue and wanted to go take out the Russians. So, at this point, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Drew can go. Drew can go for me. I'm sorry. I in the beginning, I really did like Drew. But Drew at this point can go. I'm so sick of Drew at this point. Drew is too emotional for me. Drew doesn't think things through, and that's a problem. So Monet, we see Monet, she's with Kai, laughing with him, and Drew came home, and Monet asked Kai for help with the Russians. So Kai was like, "Girl, so right about now, the feds kind of hemmed up some of my guys, and so I'm a little stretched thin right now." And Drew was like, "I know you fucking lying. So you literally sat there with me and my brother talking about we needed to make a move on the Russians or whoever took out my daddy." And I was like, yep. Come on. I'm getting ahead of myself, you guys. I'm getting ahead of myself because they don't think that was that. Like, come on. That was clearly a setup. And Kane and Drew are too stupid to see that. Especially Kane. You were on to this woman. I'm getting ahead of myself, you guys. I'm getting ahead of myself. So Drew told Monet that Gordo's family wants half, 50-50, right? And she's like, "Can you bring me some good news?" And so Drew was like, "But Gordo was trying to stop it." And she's like, "Oh, you got him, you got him." He's basically saying that Gordo was sprung, right? And I do believe he is, right? So then we see Diana. So Diana's out with Bruchandria, aka Brown Skin Keisha, right? And she's performing. So Monet texts her asking if she will come over for dinner. So after Brown Skin Keisha performed, the hotep got up there, Celine. So he doing a spoken word poem, and it's for Diana. I was like, oh my God, sir, stop while you're ahead. And even Diana had to walk away, and so he following behind her. He's like, "So you ain't gonna accept my apology?" And she was like, "Yo, flunkies and groupies might fall for that, but it didn't work on me." And so he was like, "So you are," so you are fucking Tariq. And she said, "Who I'm fucking ain't got nothing to do with you." And I was like, "Exactly." So then he says, "I know that you're selling drugs at the candy store." So basically he's telling her she's fired. I was like, "Oh girl, this ain't going good, is it?" So then we see Diana. So Diana's called Monet up. And, she told Monet that, things are not going that well at school right now, that there's a guy that's, giving her a hard time. So Monet was like, "Do I need to come up there and talk some sense into his ass?" She's like, "Nah, Ma, you taught me well, so I got this covered." So then we see Diana. Baby Diana definitely had it covered. She had the upper hand on Mr. Salim, or better yet, I think his name is Trevor. So this hotep ain't really a hotep, right? So Salim has done equestrian. His mama and daddy are both white people, and that single mother bullshit ain't real. His mama and daddy supported the Orange Man. I was like, well, goddamn. So everything about Mr. Salim, I knew that there was something off about him. I had been saying that there was something off about Salim, and I knew it was. I didn't think it was this, but I definitely knew that there was something off about Salim. So next up, we see Monet. We see her, Kane, and Drew, right? So they're going to be going to have a meeting with Kai. So she told Drew, "You stay outside because the last time you saw Kai, it didn't go that well, right?" So she tells Kane to come with her. And I'm like, Kane, it's like when she needs something from Kane, and Kane even said that when you need something from me, you know how to treat me like a person. But any other time, you disrespect the fuck out of Kane, calling him a dumbass. Baby, I'm sorry. Monet would not be able to disrespect me like that. Monet has actually been disrespecting Kane since the beginning. Monet has never really respected Kane. But Kane wants the approval of Monet, and it's very sad, right, to see it. So Monet was with Kai, and she flirting with Kai because she's flirting with Kai at this point, and she was like, "I'll work with you, I'll do this, and I'll also give you what you've been wanting." I'm like, "Girl, I know you fucking lying. You is not gonna give Kai no puss." I'm like, "Girl, stop playing with me," right? So there was a gunshot at one point. So Kai went to go see what it was, and so Monet pulled a knife from her, a blade from her boot, and so they got into a fight with each other. And then Kane came back in and popped him, right, and took him out. So then Monet had her burner phone that she was. Are y'all stupid? This is why. So if you guys have noticed that I've been pausing for like since this whole Tejada segment, I've been pausing. They are stupid. Did y'all know? So let's go back to the episode when Gordo killed Lorenzo, right? You guys remember Monet was sitting there texting him on a burner phone. And they never noticed anything about that burner phone. So she takes the burner phone out of her purse and texts Gordo telling them that I think that they're onto us. They know that it's not the Russians, right? And then she puts the phone into Kai's pocket. So when Drew came in, Drew was getting ready to move the body. And just so happened, Drew goes through his pockets and there's the burner phone, right? And he opens it up and there's a text message. Drew and Kane are both stupid as fuck at this point, right? Y'all don't realize that y'all mama's playing the shit out of y'all. Because y'all didn't even ask why did she get into it, what happened between her and Kai. For Kai to be on top of her, choking her ass out. And now you just miraculously find this phone and you find this text message and y'all now know, y'all think that Kai is the one that took out Lorenzo. Please explain to me what reasoning Kai would have to take out Lorenzo. He ain't got no guys on the streets at this point. What logical reason would he have to take him out? At this point, I gotta call Kane dumb as fuck because Kane is being dumb as hell. You called it out, dude. You knew that your mama was the one that had Lorenzo taken out. Now, granted, she did hit you with a gotcha, a gotcha. I knew that you were keeping this from me. Like, this is all so coincidental. This is really coincidental. Like, this is too coincidental. When your mama found out that it was Lorenzo who killed Zeke, he ends up dead. But he's been out of prison for how long now? Y'all went to go have a whole conversation with Kai. Kai told y'all fuck off, and Kai didn't kill him then? Like, what the fuck? I do expect that from Kane, but Drew? This bitch is playing y'all. Girl, I hope Lorenzo haunts this bitch into the day she catches a bullet. Ugh. So Monet wants for them to set up a meeting with the person that she was texting, which is Gordo, right? So Monet took the Russians' Kai's head, basically saying that Kai double-crossed them and took out Lorenzo. I was like, nobody's putting two and two together at this point, right? Like, nobody. But okay, I get it. So we see Drew and Gordo, so they in bed, right? So Drew wants to know what Gordo said to his brothers to basically back them off the 50-50 because they backed off. And Gordo was like he was willing to give up his, brothers for his relationship with Drew. And so Drew was getting ready to go meet the person that Monet told him to set up the meeting with, right? And he texted the phone and Gordo's phone beeped. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself the entire time, so you and Gordo have been fucking for these last few weeks, right? And when you saw that phone number in his phone, in Kai's alleged phone, you didn't put two and two together that was your boyfriend? So Drew got his gun and went in the bathroom and shot and killed Gordo. I was like, you gonna regret that one. Because Gordo was played by your mama and you been played by your mama. And I'm just still stuck on Kane. Like, Kane, you are just being obtuse at this point, right? So we see the family as they're having dinner, right? And while they're having dinner, who busts in? The feds bust in. And the feds arrested Diana. I was like, Diana? Well, I guess because they don't have anything on Kane or Drew or even Monet. Everything with them is speculative, but they have concrete evidence against Diana at this point, right? I was like, well, the shit is about to hit the fan. So I think we got 3 more episodes left of this season, you guys. This season has been good for me. I'm just frustrated with Monet. That bitch can go. That bitch can go. But let me know what you guys think about this episode, you guys, and leave it your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, you guys. Turn your post notifications on and share the video. And until the next time, you guys, stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Be blessed. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.